just for a drive turn. If that was Messi, they'd be talking about it for years. Just
Zidane, it is! It is! In the nick of time.
These are the craziest Euro matches of the 21st century. And why not start with a game from the latest edition, Portugal versus Slovenia at Euro 2024. See, we'll be honest with you, this game didn't exactly produce a very interesting 90 minutes. No goals were scored, so the game went into extra time, and it was there that everything came to life. With just seconds to go in the first half of extra time, Portugal won a pen, and Cristiano Ronaldo stepped up like everyone expected he would. But guess what? He missed. That drove Ronaldo to tears. In the second half, Pepe slipped and presented Šeško with a golden opportunity to send Slovenia to the quarterfinals, but he missed. So we went to penalties where Diogo Costa made himself a hero. He stepped up, saved one, saved two, saved three, and essentially won the game for Portugal. We'd never seen anything like it before. That was the first time a goalkeeper had made 3 saves in a penalty shootout in the history of the Euros. He also became the first goalkeeper to not concede a single goal in a penalty shootout in Euros history. But this is not even the most dramatic game that went to penalties that Portugal have been involved in at the Euros. We'll tell you about the other one later in this video, but now let's look at another crazy round of 16 game. This one is from Euro 2016, when Iceland shocked England. In the opening 3 minutes, England were awarded a penalty. Captain Wayne Rooney stepped up and converted, and it was a dream start for the Three Lions. But it didn't last long. Just 2 minutes later, Ragnar Sigurðsson equalized for Iceland, and just 12 minutes later they scored again to take the lead. England was stunned. They tried to get back into the game as they had 18 shots, made more than 2 times more passes than Iceland, and had more than 3 times the corners that Iceland had. But they just couldn't get an equalizer, and that was it. England were knocked out by underdogs Iceland in the round of 16 of the Euros. Absolutely incredible. In that same tournament, we also saw one of the longest penalty shootouts we've ever seen in a Euros game. Germany went up against Italy in the quarterfinals of Euro 2016, and it was one to watch from the very beginning as it was a heavyweight clash. We were talking about 2 nations who'd won 2 of the last 3 World Cups, so everybody knew it would be tight. Mesut Ozil had put Germany in front in the 65th minute, but Italy equalized through a Leonardo Bonucci penalty in the 78th minute to force extra time. No goal was produced in extra time, so we had to go to penalties. 18 penalties were played in that shootout. At some point, it felt like we would be there forever. Interestingly, the goal scorers from either side, Ozil and Bonucci, missed their penalties in the shootout. We also saw Zaza, who was brought in the last few seconds of extra time for the sole purpose of taking a penalty, serve up one of the funniest run-ups before sending his penalty to the high heavens. Let's now throw things back to Euro 2000, where the group stages served up a real classic. FR Yugoslavia went up against Spain in a Group C clash, and it was more than what fans had anticipated. This was such a give-and-take game. Yugoslavia took the lead in the 31st minute, but Spain equalized 8 minutes later. In the second half, Yugoslavia took the lead again, but Spain replied again just a minute later. Then, in the space of 6 second-half minutes, Slaviša Jovanović was shown 2 yellow cards and was sent off. But even with 10 men, Yugoslavia still managed to take the lead again in the 75th minute. And just when we thought they'd escape with a win, Spain got a penalty very late in the game. Gaizka Mendieta stepped up and converted in the 94th minute, and that was surely how the game ended, right? Wrong. Spain didn't relent, and in the dying moments of the game, they scored again to steal a win. That right there is still one of the most thrilling group stage games there's ever been in any major competition. It felt like a final. Speaking of finals, Spain served us one of the greatest Euro finals ever in 2012. They were up against Italy in that game, and it was truly historic. Italy, who were known for strong defenders over the years, were completely torn apart by Spain, who started 6 midfielders. Italy had conceded just 3 goals all tournament, but in that final they conceded 4, and that became the biggest win margin that's ever been recorded in a final in the history of the Euros. With that win, Spain became the first nation to successfully defend the Euros, and the first national team to win 3 successive major tournaments. Now remember, we told you that Portugal's round of 16 game against Slovenia in Euro 2024 is not the most dramatic game that went to shootouts that Portugal's been involved in at the Euros. That's because a more dramatic one had already happened 20 years earlier, when Portugal faced England in the quarterfinals of Euro 2004. Hosts Portugal were up against England's golden generation, so from the get-go, the game promised to deliver, and it did exactly that. In the 3rd minute, Michael Owen took advantage of a mistake in Portugal's defence and gave England the lead. But Postiga came on and equalised for Portugal in the 83rd minute. Moments later, Campbell thought he'd snatched the win for England, but his headed goal was disallowed for a foul, so we went to extra time. 5 minutes into the second half of extra time, Portugal took the lead through a beautiful solo goal from Rui Costa, but England responded through a Lampard strike just 5 minutes later. So the game went to penalties. Both Beckham and Rui Costa missed and looked to the penalty spot while Postiga pulled off a cheeky Panenka. But there was even more drama to come. We saw 14 penalties played, and the last 2 were the most dramatic. See, when Vassell stepped up to take a kick for England, Portugal's keeper Ricardo made the unusual decision to take off his gloves. That was so not normal, so we were all shocked. But whatever he was going for certainly worked, because he saved the pen. Immediately after making that big save, he stepped up to take the next kick for Portugal, and he scored to send them to the semis. That right there was an incredible I am him moment. Do you know what else was? When Jude Bellingham produced late drama in the round of 16 game between England and Slovakia at Euro 2024. England were favourites going into this one, but Slovakia shocked the Three Lions when they took the lead in the 25th minute. What followed was a story of missed chances from England and brilliant defending from Slovakia. But when it looked like the game was gone and Slovakia were going to survive the onslaught, Jude Bellingham pulled out an overhead kick in the 95th minute of the game to force extra time. This was England's latest ever goal in normal time at the Euros. Immediately after he equalised, he ran to the camera and asked, "Who else?" "No one else, brother. No one else." Anyway, in the first minute of extra time, Harry Kane finished the job with a headed goal, and that was it. England protected their lead until the final whistle and secured qualification into the last 8. This was also the quickest goal in extra time in Euros history. And what is it with round of 16 games being so damn entertaining? Do you guys remember France versus Switzerland at Euro 2020? That game had everything. Beautiful goals, cards, penalty misses, and insane drama. Switzerland took the lead 15 minutes in, and they had a chance to double that lead from the spot in the 54th minute. But Lloris saved Ricardo Rodriguez's penalty. 2 minutes later, they regretted that. Benzema scored a gorgeous goal and brought France level. From there, Les Bleus entered cruise mode. Benzema scored again in the 59th minute, and then Pogba put the icing on the cake with a beautiful long-range curler in the 75th minute. He followed it up by hitting perhaps the coldest celebration of the entire tournament. As far as everyone was concerned, that was it. France were through. But the Swiss said, "Hold my beer." Seferovic scored his second of the game in the 81st minute, and then 4 minutes later, Gravanovic thought he'd leveled the score, but the goal was ruled out for offside. That should have served as a warning, but France didn't heed. So, in the 90th minute, Gravanovic scored again, this time a legal one, and forced extra time. Extra time was goalless, so we went to penalties, where everyone was perfect up until the last kick. Kylian Mbappe stepped up, and Jan Sommer saved his pen to send Switzerland to the quarter-finals. But when France met England in the group stage of Euro 2004, all the drama happened on the pitch. And this one right here was a story of set pieces. England took the lead in the 38th minute when Lampard headed in a cross from a Beckham free kick. Then they got a chance to double that lead from the penalty spot in the 73rd minute, but Barthez saved Beckham's penalty. Anyway, despite that miss, England thought they'd still be able to hold on to their 1-0 lead. But in the 91st minute, Zidane stepped up and converted a brilliant free kick to bring France level. Everyone thought that was it for this game, only for Steven Gerrard to lose his head for a second and make the worst error, which led to a France penalty at the very death. Zidane stepped up and converted in the 93rd minute, and that was it. 2 late set-piece goals in additional time stole the win for France. But if you think that was some late drama from France, just wait till we tell you about what they did in the final of Euro 2000 against Italy. We could just not leave this one out, because it was the first Euros final to be settled by a golden goal. To be honest, the first half was rather unadventurous, but Del Vecchio got things rolling in the second half with his goal in the 55th minute. And, well, you know Italy and their good defending, they held their advantage tight. At least until the 94th minute, when Wiltord produced a brilliant strike from a difficult angle and forced extra time. But this was not any extra time. Both teams knew that the golden goal run was alive, which meant that anybody who grabbed the first goal in extra time would snatch the trophy. That heightened the tension, so both teams were understandably more cautious. But 2 minutes to the end of the first half of extra time, Trezeguet threw caution to the wind, unleashing a wicked strike, and immediately took off his shirt to celebrate. Just like that, he won France the trophy and made them the first national team to be holders of both the World Cup and the Euros at the same time since West Germany in 1974. After that game, Thierry Henry said everyone thought they were dead. But with the French team, it's never over. So true. Speaking of death, we all thought Christian Eriksen was lifeless in Denmark's opening game of Euro 2020 against Finland. No, literally. With only a couple of minutes left in the first half, Eriksen suddenly collapsed on the pitch due to a cardiac arrest. His teammates rushed to give him first aid before the medics came and revived him. It took a while, but the midfielder regained consciousness and was then rushed to hospital. It was so scary when it happened. His partner, teammates, fans, and even opponents had tears in their eyes, but we're all glad he survived and is still playing to date. The game was suspended and was completed later that evening. Finland would eventually win that game 1-0, but that match is hardly remembered by the scoreline. It's remembered as the game where Christian Eriksen cheated death. Staying with Euro 2020, let's look at the round of 16 game between Spain and Croatia, which was surely crazier than anyone had anticipated. First, the opening goal came from the craziest own goal you would ever see. Spain's goalkeeper just lost his head there and gifted Croatia a goal. But Spain responded before half-time with an equalizer from Sarabia. Early in the second half, Spain turned things around with a goal from Azpilicueta, and then Ferran Torres added another in the 77th minute. You'd think that was game over, but the game was only just starting. Croatia fought back and got one back in the 85th minute after a lot of chaos in the box, and then in the 92nd minute, they equalized and forced extra time. This was pure drama. Anyway, Spain eventually took back the game with 2 goals from Morata and Oyarzabal in the space of 3 extra time minutes, but boy, this was a super crazy game. Wales versus Belgium in the quarter-final of Euro 2016 was another entertaining and shocking one. Belgium took the lead through a 13th minute 9-goal golazo, but Wales equalized 18 minutes later. Robson Kanu put Wales in front in the 55th minute, before Vokes won the game for Wales in the 86th minute. Somewhere in between, Belgium thought they should have gotten penalties, but I guess it just wasn't their night. Belgium's golden generation was shocked by a lowly Wales, and it was so crazy to see. Are there crazier Euros matches you can think of? Tell us in the comments. Also, tell us what your favorite Euros game of all time is. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.